Hey YouTube, Logan with Hideaway Homestead here, coming to you today with a video on why all homesteaders should be fishermen, fisherwomen, fisher children, whatever you want to call yourself. I was thinking about this because fishing is definitely a passion of mine. I enjoy, well, I don't know if it's necessarily a passion, it's definitely a hobby. I really love it, really enjoy it. I don't do it as often, especially since we've been working on the homestead. And it's actually a really important part of homesteading. Now, the reasons that I say that is not because the activity itself is important for homesteading. It's the products that you can get from fishing, namely fish. And I think it's a very viable option, especially for people who are trying to produce something fast and low maintenance, and that's gonna really pay for itself. Now, I think there's two ways to approach being a fisherman. I don't think that you necessarily, if you're doing it for food, that you have to go and just buy the cheapest everything to fish with. There is something to having decent equipment to fish with that's going to last you a long time and that is going to perform well. That being said, I have fished a lot with dock demons and caught really big bass, and got really good food off of a little dock demon that's like $10. So go as cheap as you can to make it a viable option. And what I've started doing, so this is me speaking from experience of starting to do this as a way to get meat, is I went around and I looked on Google Maps and checked and thought of like all the rivers around here, and got two spots that are like, one of them's 4 minutes away from the house and the other one is 4 minutes away from work. And my place of employment is only 10 minutes, well, like 8 minutes from my house. So really close places to fish. That's another thing. I'm sure if you get on Google Maps and look at just the standard map, look at the water, you'll be able to find places where you can go fish that are within 10 minutes of your house. That's a really important thing. So first of all, having reasonable, affordable gear that's going to pay for itself, and having your places that are close. That way you're not spending a whole lot of money on gas or transportation, or your time of going and finding these places to fish. So today I'm making some videos about this to be able to drop them into like a little series of fishing for homesteaders. And today I went to my second spot that I had found, and I caught 7 little bluegill in just a couple hours. Now I could have, if it wouldn't have been for needing to get home, and if I would have went and been more prepared, which I am now because I've been to the spot and I know what to fish for, I know what's in there, and I can go and know what to throw and have better luck next time. I had 4 that were good enough size to eat. Unfortunately, I couldn't find my scaler, so I had to fillet them. They were little bluegill, very small fillets. They're going to be a side to go with steak tonight, so it's not going to be anything that's filling the freezer. But that being said, once you get your spots down and you know what's in there, every time you go, you'll still have bad days where you won't catch a lot, but you're going to find more and more fish. You're going to catch more and more fish, and it's going to be a really viable way to fill your freezer. Me personally, I'm targeting bass the best I can, just because a bass fillets really easily, and to me they're a big sunfish, and I love sunfish. They're delicious. A lot of people I've heard say, oh, bass really isn't that good eating, but I don't know what they're talking about. It tastes delicious to me. So really looking at that for our food option, looking at going in maybe once a week. But here's the thing to think about. Okay, so you can go and fish and find these fishing holes, rivers, streams that are close to your house, and you can catch those fish and go and put them in the freezer. But a lot of times you go fishing, you catch stuff that's not really worth cleaning and putting in the freezer or putting on the table at the time. So if you can have a pond or build a little pond or a water garden, and then anytime you catch those fish, have you a live well, bring them home. Especially if it's close to home, it's a whole lot easier to do with just a bubbler. You can bring those home and put them into your pond and stock your ponds, and those fish will grow in your waterways, and you know exactly where they're at. So all of those fish, and when you catch 10 little ones, instead of just throwing them back, throw them in your live well, bring them back to your homestead, put them into your pond. Which brings me into my second point about this. The fishing is not just about going out and fishing and filling up the freezer. It's a wonderful thing to do. That's what I'm doing right now. But also getting your own waterways stocked. A lot of times, people go and they dig a pond and they go and they buy fingerlings. I think you can still do that. I'm not saying not to do that. But there's also the option of, as you fish, going and throwing good sized fish already into that pond and allowing them to grow and get bigger for you. And then you've also got a place that's a whole lot closer to home, and you can go down there and catch fish. I'm gonna try not to make this run too long, but one more point about this. Fishing, if you've never been, or if you have been, you haven't really got into it much, is a recreational activity. I don't know many people that are just like, I just don't like to fish. If you can go out and you can catch fish, it's fun. It's something that doesn't really cost a whole lot of money. Maybe at the worst case scenario, you spend $5 in bait, and then you've got what you've got in your equipment. And I mean, that's pretty cheap. I don't know of anything you can go and do that's as fun as fishing for that cheap. And when I say $5, that's really shooting for the moon, because today I only spent maybe, let's say I went 3 miles extra today, more or less 3 miles. And if you count like 3 miles back, that's 6 miles. I maybe, like with the gas mileage in my car, 1/10 of a gallon. So it's at $3, so what, like 30 cents? That sounds about right. Yeah, 30 cents worth of gas. And then the little salted shrimp that I was using, I broke it up into pieces, and in all I probably spent, I don't know, let's say 40 cents. So we're at what, 70 cents to go and have a really good time fishing one evening, and then having a little bit of a meal too. Now, if you go in and you factor your time driving, the time that you spend out there, and then the time that you clean the fish, you may not be making that much per hour, depending on the size fish that you're catching and how many of them you can eat. But considering this is a recreational activity, I think it's a wonderful thing to do as a family, and kids love it. So get out there and fish. Homesteading is a lot of living off the land. So there's, break that twig, I think that's getting me out of focus there. There's a lot of things that you do homesteading that are just work, and you've got to have a return on. Fishing is not work, it is fun. So this is going to be the start of this series. I'm going to try to drop a couple of videos throughout the week and add them into a playlist, all fishing and homesteading. And it will probably just eventually evolve into building your own ecosystems on your property, whether that be small ecosystems or large ecosystems that are aquatic anyway. And that'll start us off on that. If there's any questions or anything that you would like to see a video on about fishing and homesteading that would be good to add into this little series, drop it down in the comments. This is still a very small YouTube channel. I have been getting subscribers weekly or maybe even daily, but I think I'm at like 42 or something right now. So if you drop something down in the comments and suggest that I make a video doing whatever, more than likely I'm gonna do it. So feel free to drop that down in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more. I drop a video like this every day. Do slack off every once in a while, but I'm getting better at making sure those are recorded. Leave a like on the video if it was helpful, and I appreciate everybody watching. We'll see y'all in the next one.